Hi everyone, welcome to another GDevelop tutorial, and today I'm going to show you a little bit how to use Physics Engine. Okay, so as usual, this is an example project I created for this tutorial. You can download it for free from my itch.io page if you want to take a look immediately. But essentially this is a really simple project. I created a small platformer here. But I'm not using a default platformer behavior for my character. I'm actually moving my character using physics. As you can see, you can do things like that, so you can destroy things. There's like a little ball here that can interact with our player. We can create some more, just to have some fun. Just like that. So these are really very basic things that you can do with Physics Engine, but I think it's a very fun thing to use, especially if you're creating like a platformer game. This will give you lots of randomness and really fun gameplay. And by the way, I'm working on a game right now which is based on a Physics Engine. I'll show you in a minute. So it's a quite simple game, and it's still like a platformer, but you can just roll this cube around, jump, and smash things. But you know, everything interacts with each other. You don't really know what will happen next, but you know, it's very fun. So obviously in my example today I won't be able to show you all of this. My example will be a little bit more simple. But it's gonna be a really good starting point if you want to create a physics-based game. So we have here our empty project. I have imported already a few sprites here. You know, let's just start to create something. Let's just create like a floor. So I have my floor tile here, which is a tiled sprite object, okay? And yeah, just put it here. I have nothing special on it. And then let's put a player here, okay? So at the moment, obviously, they do nothing because we didn't apply any settings. So my player has 3 animations. I have idle animation, walk animation, and really badly made jump animation. It's just a copy of this frame, basically. But I just need to have it there just to show you the correct jump animation. Okay, and so let's add some behaviors, right? So obviously we're not using you know, any more platform behavior for our platforms. We'll still use physics for everything because 2 objects which are physics based, they will interact with each other, or we can do something there. Obviously if we apply physics engine to our player and apply platform behavior to this platform, they will not interact with each other because they will not communicate in that way. So first of all, let's do the simplest thing. Let's make this platform physics object. So I go to behavior, add a behavior, and add physics engine. And if we don't do nothing here, we just leave it like that, what will happen is that the platform will fall because it has already some basic settings, some gravity and so on, and it falls because there is no floor. But this is floor, so we want it to be there all the time. So for this particular, I will just choose static. It's not dynamic, it's static, so my floor will stay there. But it is still physics object, so we'll interact with our player. So I'll just go to our player as well and go to behaviors, add a behavior, and choose physics engine. Okay, apply. I will not change any settings at the moment, and press play. And our player should kind of stop on the platform. So that's a good start. One thing we need to add here, which we'll need later on, is extra point for our player. I have already origin and center points right in the middle, so I'll add another one, and I call it floor check. As you can guess from its name, it's a point which will check if our player is staying on the floor or is in the middle of the air, right? So where I need to set up this point is basically still in the middle of my player, horizontally, but I want it to be under the feet of my player. So I'll just put something like 110. That's gonna be alright. So I will apply then like invisible object to this point to check whether we are staying on the floor or not. Okay. So this is very important. And also please make sure that this point is shared across all the animations, otherwise you will have some bugs. Okay, apply, and that's a good start. So now we can start to apply some of the settings, right? So we can choose different types of physics engine object, right? So it could be dynamic, and you see that dynamic meaning it will move, you will be able to move it. Static, it's gonna stay there, right? So and cinematic, to be honest, I have no idea what it does. I didn't use it yet. So we can also choose some of the things here. I didn't never used bullet, but I did use this one. So if we put here like a tick, this object will not rotate, right? So if you're making a ball, you probably won't untick this because you want the ball to rotate, right? But as our object is, you know, it's a sprite, it's a character which will walk, I don't want it to rotate. I'll just keep it fixed rotation. So let's just add that. This is gonna be our hitbox setup, which I will show you later how to use this. We will have a problem at some point with some platforms, and I will show you how to fix that using this hitbox. And then we have some settings here, right? So density is a setting which will basically add or remove mass from our object, right? So when you're using physics engine, it's very important the size of the object, right? So if we create a really big box, it's gonna be very heavy. But let's say you want that big box to be very light, then you just make this number very small. Same thing if you want to make like a really small, I don't know, stone sprite in your game, and it should be very heavy, right? So then you basically make this number very high, right? So that's how you control the mass of your objects. In our case, we'll just keep it 1. Gravity scale is obviously the gravity of the object. So the bigger the number, the more gravity will be applied to that object. Friction, this is like how much our object will slide on a surface, right? So if we are running and we release the key, arrow key, for how long it will slide on that surface before stopping, or maybe it will stop immediately. So obviously here, the bigger the number, the more our object will be sliding on the surface. Okay. Restitution is the bounciness, so how much object will bounce if it falls from somewhere, right? In this case, I want to make it maybe 0.2, okay? And we're gonna leave these two for the moment. We don't really need them, okay? So I think that's enough for the moment, and we hit apply. Obviously nothing will happen because other than maybe our object just bounced a little bit more. But we cannot move it, so we'll need to start to go to our events and start to move our object. So we'll move our object with arrow keys. So let's start with I don't know, let's start with key pressed right, and what should we do here? We will move our object using force. So we'll apply some force, and obviously we have some settings here. So make sure you use apply force from physics engine, because there is also this thing which has nothing to do with physics engine. Okay, so it's this one, and we will apply some force, not vertically, so we will just put 0 here. But we'll apply it on the x-axis, so horizontally, to number something like 5. So if you make a positive number, it will move to the right side. If you make a negative number, it will move to the left side. So that's fine, okay? So now we can actually see what's going on. So we press, and it starts to move. And it starts to accelerate, and more and more and more and more. So how do we fix that? So because we want to have like a constant speed, at a certain point we want our object to not accelerate anymore. I'll just add a subcondition and check the velocity of our object. So if linear velocity on the x-axis is equal or greater than, let's say, 150, so that's going to be the maximum speed, then we set our linear velocity to our object to be 150, so it will stop there. So now you see it doesn't accelerate anymore. So now we need to do the same thing for the other side. So we can just literally copy this, copy and paste. Okay, and we just change some settings here. So now it's a left key. So what happens when it goes to the left? Obviously here we need to apply force, but with a negative number, so it will go to the other side. And now we need to change this as well. So if our linear velocity is equals or lesser than minus 150, then change the velocity to minus 150. So now it should be able to move both sides. Okay, that's okay. And now we wanna also maybe flip our character, you know, depending on which arrow key you press. So we can do it right here. So we can just say player, flip object horizontally. No, because it's already watching to the right. And here we will flip it actually. So player, flip object horizontally. Yes. So let's see how that works. So now we can flip our object. That's cool. So next thing I'm gonna do is actually I want to start to add this floor check objects because we want to make our player jump. So but before that I will show you what happens if we don't do that, right? So obviously we need another condition and we need to say key, when the key pressed is space, and we just make sure it triggers once. Trigger once is true. Then we pick our player and search for velocity, and we search for linear velocity on the y-axis, so on the vertical axis. Okay. And what it should equal? It should equal to a negative number, because negative number will go up, positive number will go down. So we'll say something like minus 700 maybe will work. So let's see. So it jumps, right? But if I press, it will jump continuously, right? So it doesn't matter if it's on the floor or not. So that's where we actually need to introduce this floor check object, and I'll show you how. So first thing, we need to make sure that our floor check object, this one, I'll just put it in the scene so I don't have to create it. It's always at the position of that point we created. Okay, so I'll just add a new condition here at the top. And I leave it empty here, that means it will happen always. And we say floor check position equals, so for the x-axis it should go to player dot point x, and the point is called floor check. And we copy this whole thing and say the same thing for the y-axis. Instead we just change x to y, and now I press OK, and if you run the game it should be always under us. So you see it's basically inside the platform, so it's actually touching the platform, so we know whether we are on the floor or not. Okay, so that's cool. Next thing, we want to make sure it's actually invisible, right? So I create another condition, and let's say at the beginning of the scene I pick my floor check and hide it. So I'm not doing it here because maybe there will be an occasion when I want to show it back again to make it visible, for example for debugging or things like that. So we'll just hide it at the beginning of the scene. This will give us possibility to show it later on. So now we can fix that infinite jump problem. But before we do that, you know, I know we created this floor check object. We can actually say that, you know, whenever it touches the floor, then you just and press the space key, you can actually jump. But the first thing I want to do here is create a group, because we might use the same thing not just for this floor object, but for other objects we'll create in the future. So I have like a wall, another platform, I have a ball object here, so we need to make sure that the same thing happens with those objects as well. And I don't want to remake all of these conditions every time I add an object. So to avoid that and to make things clear and clean, I will just add a group here, and I just call it something like, I don't know, solid. So these are like solid objects, okay? And I go inside my group and I actually add the objects on which potentially I can actually step on and jump from. So I'll add a floor for sure. I will add wall for sure, because I might just, you know, kick the wall, it will fall, and I actually step on it and I want to be able to jump from it, okay? So the wall, and then also the platform. That's another object, and maybe the ball as well, okay? So I'll just add this 4. So whenever we now create any interaction with those objects, we'll just refer to this group, okay? So now I can add a new condition, move it on top, and put this one, pressing the space key, under this condition, because this is going to be now sub condition, and I create here. So if a player is in collision with solid, and this means with all of those objects we added to that group. And also we need to check if this object is in collision, but we use the normal collision now because it's not a physics object, with a solid. Okay, so if these two things happen and we press a space key, then we jump. So now you'll see we'll not be able to jump in the air anymore. So jump here, but I cannot jump in the air. So that's pretty cool, that works. And now I actually want to add a little bit of animations to our player. So we need to trigger the right animations at the right time. And it's a little bit trickier when you use physics, because you don't have things like, you know, if my player is on the floor and it's moving, then play this animation. We don't have that stuff. So we need to figure out the correct moments how to do this, right? So we already have this. So we are checking whether our player is on the floor, and if floor check is actually inside the floor or something. So we can use this as a starting point to trigger our animations. So I'll add another subcondition here, and I say like, if these two things happen, so if it's on the floor and if floor check is inside the floor, then I also check if my player's linear velocity, so if it's moving, actually it's like, I don't know, greater than 30, so it's already started moving, then I play animation, change animation to equals to 1. So this is my run animation, okay? Now we need to check whether my object is stopped. So I don't want to use the same number, because otherwise it will run for longer time. So I want this number to be bigger to check whether my object is stopping right now. So if it's less than, let's say in this case it's 120, then I'll just set animation to 0 again. Okay, so let's test this out. So now I idle, and now I'm starting to walk. Okay, it's not starting to walk immediately. That's a little bit of an issue, but it stops in the correct time. So we can fix that acceleration part by just modifying this force, you know, apply force number. So if we put it already like something like 15 instead of 5, and here minus 15 instead of minus 5, our character will accelerate a little bit faster. Just like that. So now it feels kind of cool, you know, it's walking here and there. It's walking even in the air when we jump. And now I can show you how to make the jump animation. So we check whether our floor is not in collision with our solid objects, so we just invert this. Then we can say player animation, change the animation to equals to 2. Okay, so let's run this. And that's it, it's playing jump animation because our object is not touching the platform. So we will have a few bugs later on, but I will show you how to fix them. But you know, this is a good start. So now we can start to add some more platforms, right? So I'll show you the first problem we will have. So I'll just copy this one and just put it here. And I'll show you what happens if we touch this platform from the side and while pressing the right key. You know, my player kind of stops there. And we have another problem, is the hitbox is too large. Okay, so let's fix all of that now. So to fix the you know, the hitbox of our player, as I told you, we'll have to do it here. So currently the box is of the size of our sprite, so this is the hitbox. So we can actually modify it through these numbers. So what is the width, and everything will be centered, right? So if we change the width, it will change it into the center, so that's cool. So let's say that 20 pixels is enough for the width, and for the height I'll use something like 40. So now our you know, square, it became a rectangle in the middle of our object. But if I leave it like this, so what will happen, will kind of go under the floor, something like this, you know. So one thing we need to do here is to change the offset vertically as well. So we need to move this whole square a little bit down, right? So I'll say 25, something like that. Apply, and now let's hit play. And you can see now, for some reason, our object is moving very, very fast. So, and I'll tell you the reason why. So the reason is that this hitbox controls actual mass of my object as well. So we put this number a little bit lower now, so my object became lighter. So you remember when we changed here to 15 and 15? So we can change it straight back to 5 and 5. And it will work just fine. Sorry, 5 and minus 5. So let's hit play and see what happens. So you see, now it moves a little bit slower. But now what will happen, if I just jump to the side of a platform, it will just stuck there. It will continuously apply force to it, right? So we need to fix that. The way we fix this, we just create a subcondition here. So whenever we are not, where floor check is not in the floor, inside the floor, but our player is in collision with solid, so with the object. So when we touch this object, this type of object, so all the platforms and things like that, but our floor check is not inside the floor, that means we're kind of somewhere like touching the platform from the side, from the left or from the right, then we just change a little bit the force. Okay, so we add some force to this object, force. On the x-axis, so horizontally, it's going to be 0 because we don't want our object to be pushed to the side we're pressing the arrow key to. So it's going to be 0 here, and we just push it down a little bit. So I'll say like something like 3. Okay, so what happens here? So if the floor is not checked, so we are not on the floor, but we are touching for some reason from some angle the platform, then our object will just be pushed a little bit down. So I'll show you how that looks. You see, I'm not getting stuck anymore on the side. So that's cool, but I can jump on this platform. So that all works, and that's all cool. Now comes the fun part. I really want to do some fun stuff. So let's remove this thing here, and let's add some walls. I call them walls, but I don't know for what reason. Some platform here as well. Let's add another one here. Okay, so we will add some physics behavior to these ones, and we'll keep it dynamic because we want to interact with those objects. I want to make them a little bit lighter so we can actually push them, and so they're not too heavy for us. So 0.05, it is very light, and I keep box here. Okay, so just hit apply, and let's do the same for this as well. So add a behavior, physics engine, density 0.05, and keep it dynamic and all of that. And we'll not tick in this one because we want these objects to rotate depending on how they fall and things like that. So let me just move this a little bit here so we can see that. Okay, so now we can actually push these objects. How fun is that? So there are a few problems now. So you know, there are some gaps between those objects you can see here, and they are also on top on our player. I mean, you can leave it like that, but I don't like that. So I'll just keep my player something like, so these ones should be Z order something like, I don't know, 2. I keep Z order for this one, and Z order for this one is gonna be 10. So the higher the order, the more on top we see sprite in respect to the others. Okay, so that's cool, that works. And now we need to kind of fix this gaps problem. So this is once again is due to the hitbox. So we need to kind of change some values here. So the width, you know, it was 96 and I'll reduce it to 90, right? And the height, I think it was 182 or something. I think 176, it's gonna be fine. So let's hit apply, and these objects should not have any gaps between them anymore. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. You can play with those values. We need to do the same thing for this one. So I'll just go inside. I'll check what's the size of it. So 480. So I'll just change it to, so the width to from 480 to 474 maybe. That's fine. And the height to 90. Apply and see what happens. So we reduce the hitbox, and now they kind of don't have those gaps anymore. So that's cool. I like that. And you see, it's already becoming really interesting because you can move these objects in any way you want. So that's all cool. So the last thing I want to add here is this ball object right here. So how to set up if you want to create like a round object and not square objects anymore, because it's a little bit different. So as usual, we just go here, click behaviors, and say physics object. But the difference here, we need to change the shape, right? So the shape is gonna be a circle now. And there are different settings for the hitbox, right? So let me show you a little bit what happens at the moment. So if we leave it like that, so let me just put my player here. So if I hit play, my object kind of stays there, and you can actually roll it, right? So it's very, very heavy actually. Okay, so let me just change a few settings here. So I want it to be under my player, so something like 5 maybe. And then maybe I would like to change the density of it, so to something like 0.05, really light. And restitution I want to be very high because I want it to bounce around, so 0.6. And now let's see what happens. It bounces, you see. So that's alright, but it has some gaps there as well. So the only thing we need to do here is really to set the radius. So if I go to my object and I check what is the size of it, so it's 64, so 32 would be the half of the object, so that's going to be the radius, but I want to reduce it even more to be kind of on top of the platforms. So I really just put something like 28 here, and now it should look okay. Yeah, that looks okay. And you know, just to play around with these things, I'll just add another condition just to create more of these balls to see how they interact with different things. So I'll just add a condition mouse pressed. So whenever we press left key, we'll create at the position of our mouse some more of this object. We'll create at position mouse X and copy that, mouse Y. Okay. And don't forget trigger ones, otherwise we'll create lots of those. So let's hit play, and you know, we have our ball here. We can destroy these platforms, we can, you know, go on them. Actually, let me start you know, the level from here, so I can show you how you can actually balance on the platform. Okay, so we can kind of balance on this platform. At some point it will fall, you know. We can create some more of these objects, and you know, like physics will find its way. You know, one physics object cannot be inside another object unless you do something specific, which I can show you. But you know, you can create some very fun gameplay with this stuff. It's all about playing with those settings and find the correct balance between forces, impulses, and all that kind of stuff. And as I said, this is a very basic example that I made for you, but I hope this will give you a clue how to start using physics engine. And if you like this video, please subscribe, like this video, watch my other videos, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord server. Some new tutorials are coming up. And yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time.